Breaking out of Detroit, shockwaves hit the NFL as Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold is suddenly at the center of explosive kidnapping and armed robbery allegations that could end his career before the season even begins.
This just in out of the NFL, where Lions quarterback Terrion Arnold facing legal difficulty with training camp about a month away. He was arrested Wednesday night in Tampa, facing 4 counts of kidnapping and 4 counts of armed robbery, charges that carry a potential sentence of life in prison. Prosecutors add Arnold coordinated a group that lured 3 men into an apartment in February where the victims were pistol whipped and robbed at gunpoint.
We're going to get to Monday and then see what happens. Of course, he is saying that he is innocent of these charges, 4 counts of kidnapping, 4 counts of armed robbery. Now, he and the Detroit Lions have been aware that charges could come from this February incident. While many people may be hearing about this for the first time, it did take place in February, and it took place after Terrion Arnold and some of his associates reported a theft at an Airbnb that he was renting of more than $250,000. And then later on, 2 of the 3 people who were lured to that apartment, and of course prosecutors say that Terrion Arnold conspired to lure them to that apartment. 2 of those 3 were found by police to have nothing to do with that potential robbery of Terrion Arnold. Now, you may say, why is he just now getting arrested? Well, according to prosecutors, and frankly, according to the statement made by one of his representatives last night, it appears that at least one of the people, and maybe even multiple of the people who had previously been arrested in connection to that kidnapping and armed robbery, wound up turning state's evidence, wound up talking and pointing a finger or multiple fingers at Terrion Arnold. And so it is with the sort of, the plea deal, previously defendants who are now turning state's evidence, it is with that sort of evidence that prosecutors are saying we now have enough to charge him with similar counts here that, of course, they're making it seem like a very big deal, up to life in prison for this. Another potential instance is the NFL could suspend Terrion Arnold. I don't see that as being the case until this legal process plays itself out. The NFL has said time and again and proven time and again that if the legal process is not played out, we are not going to step in. A third potential option is that he could be placed on the commissioner's exempt list. Now, that is essentially paid leave. I don't know that that necessarily is going to be the case a month from now.
Terrion Arnold, Lions cornerback, arrested and to be charged with robbery and kidnapping. This dates back to mid-February, and I remember when I saw the first story. It came from a court hearing involving 2 individuals who, based on testimony from a detective at this hearing, had some sort of connection to Terrion Arnold. The way the story went initially, there was a house that Arnold had rented in Florida. Someone stole stuff from that house. The 2 individuals who had been arrested were accused of essentially taking the law into their own hands and trying to recover the stolen property from the suspected thieves. The only problem, as O.J. Simpson once learned, there are certain things you can't do when you're trying to recover property that you believe was stolen from you. And there was enough there, based upon what the detective said in open court, to write a story at PFT, pointing out that men with possible ties to Terrion Arnold were arrested and charged with robbery and kidnapping. Now, some of the folks on Twitter didn't react very well to our decision to plant that flag, but the spider sense was telling me then it's going to be hard for Terrion Arnold to separate himself from this. And as more trickled out in relation to the existing criminal prosecutions of others, that sense got stronger, that it's just a matter of time before one of these other players in this broader scheme flipped on Terrion Arnold. And that's what happened on Wednesday. 5 total defendants other than him. 2 of them reached plea deals. And within hours after that, Arnold was finally arrested and will be charged with robbery and kidnapping. Now, he's denied it from the get-go. Last night, a representative for Arnold put out a statement where he categorically denies any involvement, and shots were taken at the 2 individuals, convicted felons, I think they were referred to. I hope that's factually accurate for the purposes of the folks who made those statements. But now this has taken on a new level because Arnold is facing these charges. And as the Hillsborough County State Attorney's Office said, the charges carry a potential sentence of life in prison. Obviously, that creates a very significant problem for Terrion Arnold. Will he be at training camp? Based on what came out last night, I'd be surprised. Will he be available week 1 when the Lions start the 2026 regular season? He could be, but it doesn't look good. So far, it doesn't look good. And I understand, and we all need to understand, he's entitled to all of the constitutional protections, presumption of innocence. He's got to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But it's a serious charge. And it feels like the prosecutor in Florida dotted the I's and crossed the T's before making the move on a player who was a first-round pick of the Detroit Lions back in 2024. So obviously that's something that we're going to continue to follow as it unfolds over the course of the summer and possibly beyond.
Breaking out of Detroit, a storm has detonated across the NFL. Terrion Arnold, a rising defensive star for the Detroit Lions, is now at the center of explosive allegations that no one saw coming this close to training camp. Arrested Wednesday night in Tampa, facing 4 counts of kidnapping and 4 counts of armed robbery. Charges so severe, prosecutors say they carry a potential life sentence. This is not a rumor, not speculation. This is a developing legal earthquake that could reshape a career before a single snap of the 2026 season is played. But the most disturbing question isn't what happened, it's how it allegedly unfolded. And that takes us straight into a case prosecutors say was months in the making. The timeline goes back to mid-February. According to prosecutors, Arnold and associates were linked to a situation involving a reported theft of over $250,000 from an Airbnb property he was renting in Florida. What followed, investigators allege, escalated far beyond a simple burglary report. 3 men were allegedly lured into an apartment where prosecutors claimed they were pistol-whipped and robbed at gunpoint. 2 of those individuals? Authorities later determined they had no connection whatsoever to the original theft. A case that began with claimed stolen property now sits at the center of accusations involving organized violence and coordinated targeting. And just when the case seemed buried in early investigation, a new development would completely flip the direction of the entire story. So why now? Why the arrest months later? According to prosecutors, the answer lies in one word: cooperation. At least one, and possibly multiple individuals previously arrested in connection with the case have reportedly turned state's evidence. That means testimony, statements, deals made behind closed doors. And according to officials, that cooperation became powerful enough to justify felony charges against a current NFL player. 8 total counts now stand against Arnold. 4 kidnapping, 4 armed robbery, each one carrying potentially decades or life in prison. But while prosecutors build their case piece by piece, Arnold's camp is fighting back with a very different narrative. Arnold's representatives are clear. He denies all allegations. No involvement, no coordination, no criminal intent. And under U.S. law, the presumption of innocence remains intact until proven otherwise beyond reasonable doubt. But inside the NFL world, silence is not protection. The league is now watching closely, weighing possible outcomes. A suspension or placement on the commissioner's exempt list, meaning paid leave away from team activities. No final decision yet, but timing is everything. Training camp is just weeks away, and as the legal pressure rises, one final question hangs over Detroit. Will this end before it even truly begins? At this moment, uncertainty defines everything.
Will Terrion Arnold be on the field in Week 1?
Or will this case push him into a legal battle that stretches deep into the 2026 season or beyond? Prosecutors in Hillsborough County insist the evidence is strong enough to support serious felony prosecution. But defense teams argue something else entirely. The truth has not been fully heard. Two narratives, one courtroom, one career hanging in the balance. And for the Detroit Lions, the stakes are no longer just football. They are reputation, stability, and survival under the spotlight. This story is still developing, and as more details emerge, the NFL world may be forced to confront a reality far more explosive than anyone expected.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.